Guys, we are back. Welcome. My name is DK, and in this video, we're going to break down the 3-game WNBA DFS slate. We got $20,000 to first. Once again, pretty good size contest, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback here on these videos. So, yeah, if that continues and there's demand for it, I'll continue to get out some WNBA DFS videos. But yeah, let's quickly talk about the sponsor of today's video. So let me switch my screen over. That's going to be Underdog Fantasy. So Underdog is actually offering these WNBA drafts. I did a couple the other day. Really, really fun snake drafts. And I think you're drafting against 5 other people, and then you can get in like a tournament. So for this one's like $5 entry, $30,000 to first, $3K to first. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Also, they have pick'em style as well. So if you guys do want to give it a try, use the code DKDFS for a $250 deposit match bonus. I'll also have it linked down below. All right, so let's get right into it. We'll start off here with Washington and Atlanta. So for Washington, a couple pieces of news we had to keep an eye on the status of Brittany Sykes and Shakira Austin. Now, Sykes has been out for the last 10 games, so it is probable. Assume she's going to be on a limit. Basically only played 1 full game so far this season. So with her being out for a lengthy amount of time, I expect her to be on a limit. And then Shakira Austin, if she plays as well, expect her to be on a limit. They've already been pretty cautious with their minutes, hovering around 20. So if she plays, I would expect similar, maybe even a little bit less. Now with Sykes probable, and if Austin plays too, that does make this team pretty hard to get to. Like Aaliyah Edwards is someone that's been filling in for Austin, has been a pretty popular value play, but her price is now up. And if Austin's back, she's really hard to get to. Ariel Atkins has been leading the team in usage, but with Brittany Sykes back, that definitely hurts Ariel Atkins, and her price is up a bit. Dolson's price went up. We talked about Misha Hines-Allen as a viable kind of contrarian value in the last slate. She went off kind of out of nowhere, 44 fantasy points, but it would be tougher to get there. Von Lou would also lose a lot of run if with Brittany Sykes back. So this team is pretty hard to get to just because a combination of a couple things, right? Price points are up on them. And then you have 2 players that have been out for a while that are most likely back. Sykes for sure. Sykes almost a guarantee. And Austin, good chance she's back as well. So probably my least favorite team to target on this 3-game slate. But we'll keep an eye on the news there. Sykes, Austin, again, expecting both them to be on a limit. Let's talk about Atlanta. Atlanta running a relatively deep rotation. Ryan Howard's at the top at 10.7K. Double-double last game, 10 points, 10 assists. The assist numbers have ticked up for her. It's just like, again, minutes. No one's playing massive minutes on Atlanta. Like Howard's averaging low 30s minutes. For other players in this price range, they're playing close to the entire game. So Howard, more of a tournament-only play. The price is up in Tina Charles as well. Expect around low 30s minutes for her. Solid option. I think of the spend-ups here for Atlanta, Charles probably the easiest to get to of Howard, Charles, and Gray. And then Alicia Gray, 8.7, has been pretty quiet of late. Hasn't really had like a pop-off game recently. We know that ceiling is there. We've seen some big games from Alicia Gray last year. Price is down, so I think she's a fair GPP play. Cheyenne Parker, again, the minutes, it's kind of just a minutes thing for her, right? Probably going to see somewhere in the neighborhood of like low to mid-20s minutes. She's not a bad point per minute player, but again, the minutes upside is kind of capped. But again, the price point does make her, viable at least. Jordan Canada's still out. We got Ariel Powers. Minutes been fluctuating a little bit on her. There's a stretch where she was averaging 20 plus. Last 3 games, 18, 19, and 16 minutes. The positive here with Powers is she's a pretty good point per minute player and is at a reasonable price point. So I think she's a solid option there at that price. Haley Jones' minutes have been ticking down on her, averaging, around 20 minutes over the last 5 games. Viable because of the price point, but don't expect a ton there. And then not a ton else to mention here. Nas has been averaging about 15 minutes a game. She's 4K. She's viable because of the price point. You'll probably see a few minutes of Nia Coffey. Again, it's just the way the Atlanta runs their rotation. They do run one of the deeper rotations in the WNBA. Now, Minnesota. So, Fee is at the top at 11.7K. 40 minutes. She played all 40 minutes against Phoenix. Played 35 there against Seattle, but the game did turn into a blowout. Expect high 30s minutes from Fee. And Vegas plays very fast. So this is a nice up-tempo matchup for for Minnesota. So I think she looks really good here at the top. Kayla McBride is 9.3K. Been consistently playing, 30 plus minutes in competitive games and has been shooting the ball very well. The issue is the price, right? The price is up, and I don't know if she can continue to shoot this well. So more of a, just contrarian option there. Lana Smith is coming in at 8.4K. She continues to play high 20s minutes in competitive games. I think she's a decent option as long as she avoids foul trouble. She'll probably be on Asia Wilson at times. Courtney Williams, 7.7K. She did finally see a minutes bump, even though she was not playing well, which was kind of confusing. Shot 1 of 11, and she played 28 minutes. But in other games, she's been playing, I think a little better and has been seeing less minutes. So it's like, what's going on here? What I will say about Courtney Williams is usually pretty good point per minute player. The issue's been the minutes this season, but did play 28 minutes last time. So I'll just say this. If you told me for sure that Courtney Williams played 28 minutes tomorrow, you better believe I'm firing her up at 7.7K. So like the upside there in tournaments. Carlton's coming in at 6.2K, 32, 33, and 31 minutes over the last 3 games. I think she's a fair value play. Not a super high ceiling, but role is pretty secure right now in the lineup. Dorka is probable, but again, her minutes have not really been there. She's averaging just over 10 minutes a game. Heideman's at 4.6. Again, the role's really just not secure there. Barely played last game. Zena Lassini, minutes have ticked down on her. She's been a relatively popular value play over the last few slates. Not been great. Olivier Ufofa, 14, 10, and 14 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games. Not a bad point per minute player. Did have a solid game last time, like 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I think she's a fair punt play. It's just the minutes. You're not going to expect a ton there. So, you're going to get big minutes from Fee and McBride, probably high 20s minutes from Alana Smith. Carlton, probably low 30s. Courtney Williams, minutes can fluctuate. And the bench, the minutes kind of fluctuate as well there for Minnesota. Now, for Vegas, so we got to keep an eye on the stats of Jackie Young. Haven't really got an update from Chelsea Gray, so don't expect her to return anytime soon. But Jackie Young did miss last game with an illness. And that was Sunday, and it's going to be Tuesday. So I think she's got a decent chance to play in this game. But if she sits, that opens up a ton. Obviously, usage bump to Asia Wilson and Kelsey Plum. And then a lot more run for Tiffany Hayes and Kate Martin. So Martin picked up the start, played 32 minutes last game with Jackie Young out. And then Tiffany Hayes came out the bench, played 28 minutes. So those two probably get the biggest minutes bump if Jackie Young is once again out. We'll start with Asia. Don't think we're going to spend a ton of time here. The best player in the WNBA and has been on a tear this season, just contributing in a ton of different ways. Scoring the ball, rebounding the ball, assists, blocks, steals. Yeah, if you can afford her, she looks amazing. Kelsey Plum's had a down season, and she continues to struggle, even with Jackie Young out last time out. Still a subpar game for Kelsey Plum. So price point, not great. I think more of just contrarian play, not completely out of play, but tough to prioritize her. Jackie Young, if she does play, I think I would rather go to her over Kelsey Plum for a little bit cheaper. And then again, if Young misses, I think Tiffany Hayes and Kate Martin are two of the better values in the board. If Jackie Young plays, Hayes and Martin are not completely out of play, but the price point is up on Hayes after last game where she got the minutes bump. Same with Kate Martin. So definitely would be a downgrade to those two. Last couple players to mention, Alicia Clark's been consistently playing, around 30 minutes. Not high usage player, obviously, but price point's reasonable. And then Kia Stokes is at 5.5. Probably we'll see around 20 minutes or so. Pretty similar to what I said about Clark, of not completely out of play, but this Vegas offense is pretty easy to predict. We know where the offense is coming from, right? It's Asia Wilson, and it's the two guards there with Plum and Young. And then if Young gets ruled out, Tiffany Hayes and Kate Martin get that big minutes bump. Last game here, we got the Sparks and Seattle. So at the top, we got Wnba at 10.9. We know the Sparks have also been running a very deep rotation, but Wnba's role has been very, very secure in competitive games, playing mid to high 30s minutes, contributing in a lot of different ways. So I think she's a solid spend up here. Probably not an optimal spend up when you got Fee at a similar price or Asia Wilson for another, couple thousand. But if you can't afford them, and I think Wnba's a fine, spend up to settle on there. Cameron Brink is at 8.2K, so she is really foul prone. If you take a look at the last 5 games, 4 fouls, 5 fouls, foul out here, 5 fouls, 4 fouls. That has kind of capped the minutes on her. Price point's fine. I think she's a fair tournament play. And then we once again got to talk about the guards, but it's kind of just they go with the hot hand. So Lexi Brown, Minutes kind of been all over the place. 6.4K. I think she's fine for GPPs. Clarendon had that triple-double in the first game of the season. Other than that, she hasn't really been doing a ton. Kia Nurse, for a stretch of time, she was playing 30-plus minutes. Last 3 games, 18, 15, 14 minutes. Ari McDonald, 5.7K. Hovering around 20 minutes. Viable, right? Rakia Jackson to 5.6. Minutes a little bit up and down. There was a time where she's playing high 20s minutes, then 14 minutes, then low 20s, like kind of all over the place. And they still will run a pretty deep rotation, right? Like Lee Yuri, I think that's how you pronounce her name. 14, 11, and 17 minutes over the last 3 games. She's 3.9K. So honestly, a fair punt play if you need someone super, super cheap. Talbot's got a little bit of ownership. She played 17 minutes last time out. She's 3.4K. And then what? Bureau even played a few minutes. I think, did Zach Cook play? She did not play in the most recent game, but the game before that, everyone on the roster played for the Sparks. So it's kind of the same breakdown of like Hamby's definitely your safest option at the top. You want to take a shot in breaking tournaments, that's fine. And then just this group of like guards are viable tournament plays, but no one you're going to feel really good about. Couple viable punt plays because they're so cheap. Yuri and Talbot there at 3.9 and 3.4. All right, last team to talk about here is Seattle. And they're pretty easy to talk about. As I've mentioned in the first few videos here, the offense is basically the top 4. Lloyd, Easy, Naka, and Skylar Diggins-Smith, and that's really it. So at the top, you got Lloyd at 10.5K. Should continue to play high 30s minutes in competitive games. Is dominating the usage, getting a ton of shots up every single game. So always like her upside in GBPs. As he's played extremely well, kind of had a subpar game last time out, but still 3 blocks and 3 steals. She's really getting it done in the defensive end. So that really does boost her floor plus ceiling. Because when you have a game where she's, putting the ball in the bucket, she can go for 45 to 50. And we've seen that a lot recently. So I think she's a decent option there. Naka's at 10.1. I think right now, Ezzy's is the better play, but doesn't mean Naka's completely out of play. I just think I would rather go to Ezzy at a similar price point. And then Diggins-Smith is at 9.2. Been consistently playing low 30s minutes, 35, 31, 31, 34, and 33 minutes. Pretty good in the peripheral stats department. She's the point guard. Lloyd, will do some ball handling as well, but 9.2K, reasonable price point there for Skylar. And then outside of that, there's nothing that you're going to feel good about, right? Seattle kind of rides the hot hand with these secondary pieces. So Jordan Horston, solid defender. Production's been all over the place. 5, 21, 17, 2, 22 fantasy points, but I think she's in play for GBP, so it's the price point. Mercedes Russell's been basically out of the rotation. She's out of play for me. Sammy Whitcomb at 4.7K, only played 9 minutes last time out. That's not great. Victoria Vivens is 4.3, 18 minutes in the most recent game. I think she's in play because of the price point. We have seen some games where Vivians is pushed for mid 20s minutes or so playable. Holmes is 3.5K. She had the one game where she kind of played 20 minutes out of nowhere. Then outside of that, it's been out of the rotation. So, the top 4, you're going to feel good about their role in minutes. Outside of that, they're kind of going to ride the hot hand of this like Horston, Whitcomb, Vivians. You can throw probably a little bit of run there for Mercedes Russell. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for the video. As always, if you do enjoy, just make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you all